So as we inch closer and closer to that week one home opener at Lambeau Field against the Detroit Lions, a game in which I am super stoked about, but that's if everybody was to be out there healthy, but the Packers keep getting more and more rough news. And that is the fact that injuries keep piling up, keep stacking up, and they happen to be coming to players on the team that are key, that are valuable players and assets to this Packer team, especially when we look ahead to week one against the Detroit Lions. And it says right here the Green Bay Packers quarterback, Jordan Love, had a procedure to his left thumb on Tuesday. Rob Domofsky reported that the repair was to a ligament injury to his left thumb, but the Green Bay Packers expect the star quarterback to be ready for the season opener. It says right here, Packers general manager Brian Gutekunst said Tuesday that Love could return to practice as early as next week, adding that the procedure was the best option to get him back out on the field as fast as possible, feeling the best possible. But here's the thing. Okay, so when you start looking at injuries and how they are mounting up for the Green Bay Packers and stacking up for the Green Bay Packers, that's not great news, especially when you start hearing the fact that Romeo Doubs' status revealed after a scary fall in practice. He took a shot. I think it was by safety Evan Williams in practice. He walks off the field. Everybody, of course, instantly is like, okay, the dude is getting hit and he's a porcelain doll. You don't know, and no fault of his, but you don't know if the dude is going to be able to stay out there, stay a reliable person, a reliable target for Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur to build his offense around when he's got all these concussion. It seems like every time he hits, everybody's holding their breath because they don't know if Romeo Doubs is going to get that next concussion. And if he gets a concussion or two this year, you gotta wonder, what is his career longevity look like, because you can't keep taking shots to the head like that and expect to be out there and be a reliable target. But it was revealed that the status of Romeo Doubs is going to be fine. He didn't have a concussion. Same thing with Jordan Love. That once his thumb heals to his non-throwing hand, that's going to be all good. But it always leaves the question, is this dude going to be able to sustain a shot in practice, sustain a shot in the preseason, and be able to stay healthy for week one? Or even week one comes and the first shot he takes against Detroit, they're ready to hit. You know, we all know Joseph loves to take out people at the knees and all that stuff, but if he gives a good pop, is Romeo Doubs going to be able to stay in the game? And then you've got, news like this that Christian Watson ahead of the curve, but likely to start the year on the PUP list. Of course, not surprising news for anybody out there. That I think is a good option for Christian Watson to start the year on the PUP list. But if he does start the year on the PUP list, then you're going to need guys like Romeo Doubs out there ready to go. And then you've got guys like Travis Glover, who's lost for the season-ending injury that keeps him out for the season, which impacts the depth of the offensive line. And then you look at guys like Nate Hobbs. Nate Hobbs is going to be ready to go for week one against the Detroit Lions. That certainly is a position that is incredibly vulnerable when you start looking across, what the middle of the field looks like for the Green Bay Packers when you're looking at the linebacking situation there, or even the nickel corner safe or position for Nate Hobbs to be out there, be productive, because that is by far the weakest spot on this Packer defense is the middle of the field. They've got to be able to sustain that, and especially when you're playing against good teams like the Detroit Lions for the season opener. And then, oh, by the way, what's the status of Xavier McKinney? Zane Anderson goes down. They're both injured. So now you're thin at the safety position. We've got a couple of guys to step up and be there and answer the call when called upon. But man, the injuries keep stacking up for the Green Bay Packers, and every practice or every preseason game that goes by, I'm sitting there holding my breath thinking, okay, is this going to be, another injury that the Packers are going to sustain ahead of week one against the Detroit Lions? But, looking even past week one, you've got to be able to stay healthy. throughout the regular season in order to get that play. I mean, the Packers have a tough schedule. Okay. It's no doubt that the Green Bay Packers have a very difficult road to the playoffs to get to the, Super Bowl, all of that. So in order to do that, certainly the team that's the healthiest seems to, go the furthest. So the Green Bay Packers are certainly going to have to, overcome some injuries, and we're not starting out on a good foot right now, especially when we're talking about our starting quarterback. We're talking about our starting safety, nickel corner, all these guys that are such key players and assets to this Green Bay Packer team. Let me know your comments in the comment section. Leave your comments. Let me know, are you that worried about the status of the Packers injuries piling up, or is it just me? Am I just, panicking and, freaking out, looking to that week one matchup against the Detroit Lions? What a tone setter for this NFC North is that game right there. It's such a key game for the Green Bay Packers season. I really feel that way. And then the Packers have all these injuries mounting up. Let me know your comments. Are you as concerned as I am? And as always, go Pack Go.